I will never be intimidated by America. I will never be intimidated by Donald Trump.
Trump is engaged in what I call saber-rattling diplomacy, where he wants an apple, but he asks for the whole orchard.
A statement by Donald Trump is offensive and undermines our sovereignty, and is a reminder that our reliance on foreign aid and foreign direct investment surrenders us to the will of imperialists who use money to dictate the economic and policy direction of Africa. We want to make it categorically clear to the President of the USA that we are going to expropriate land without compensation and pursue legislative measures to do so, and no threat will stop us. His misinterpretation of the Expropriation Act, which is a mild and cosmetic intervention, is an assessment of a measure that is going to be pursued through the amendment of our Constitution as South Africans, and there is nothing he can do to undermine our independence. The EFF reiterates its position that we must build state capacity, build a strong agricultural and industrial nation which will not depend on the West, and intensify trade relations with progressive nations such as China, Russia, and nations within BRICS who do not use foreign policy as an instrument to impose their will or bully other nations into submission.
It doesn't work anymore. I think people are aware enough. Now people have their eyes open. Through communication, they managed to rewrite history. And as for African history, they schemed everything to spread lies. As a result, some young Africans don't even know the history of Africa or what Africa has accomplished. Some don't even know that our grandparents fought, were put on the front lines as cannon fodder, and when they returned, they were killed like animals. Do people know that when France tested its first atomic bomb, it was black soldiers they placed nearby in the blast radius to see what would happen? Let's bring out the archives. Everything they've used against Africa is terrible. So all of this needs to be communicated so that young Africans understand, because there are still many who are asleep and continue to speak on behalf of the imperialists. Whatever they're told to say, they do it. Maybe it's because, well, they're given something, I don't know. But Africans need to understand their history and wake up. So that's our fight as well. My biggest regret is having spent a good part of my youth listening to radio stations like RFI and France 24. I've been in countries where those radio stations were shut down. But we would use apps to record their news broadcasts so we could listen. But at some point, something clicked. I started to realize that they were conditioning our minds to accept what they wanted. It's their narrative that they want us to learn. And since then, I've started to see things for what they are. And I understood that what they're doing is very dangerous. And today, more than ever, I realize that they have conditioned the minds, especially of Africans. So, you can play a big role in awakening the consciousness of young people so that people understand how the world works and don't let themselves be led astray by those people. When we watch the parade of the machines that won the war, that is the T-34s up to the modern vehicles, it shows us the technological evolution of the Russian army, and it inspires us as well to get to work so that we can develop in the same direction. Relations are going very well, and I can say that for the past 2 years now, things have started off very well, and we are working on deepening the areas of defense and security, but also education, and later on, the commercial sector and other aspects. So, we have staggered the different areas so that we can exchange a lot and share many experiences, because we also have a lot to learn from Russia in the field of education, especially in the sciences. Now, it must be said that up to today, gold is the main export product in Burkina Faso. But we have...
When I meet him, I will tell him. I will say, you, Donald Trump, you are even worse because your forebears came to America. They found the native, the indigenous Americans. They wiped them out. They killed nearly all of them.
Shit. perish. Brag to some for
it is always said that there is power in speaking and there is power in tongue. For when you have that power to speak, then you have the power to command, and you can, and from whatever you have said and commanded, it has happened. When during the freedom fighters of Africa, you know, all these people who are the freedom fighters, who are the founders of African independence, people like Nelson Mandela, people like Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya, and all those Julius Nyerere of Tanzania, all these people were Pan-Africanist, and all these people had the power from the speaking, and this led them to their victory of taking their countries out of slavery and out of colonial powers. And I don't know why most of the South Africans don't appreciate Julius Malema. Most of the South Africans don't like Julius Malema, and that's why this guy has tried several times to vie for this seat, to take his country in a level of maybe it will have been a benefit of most of the South Africans. But most of the South Africans are calling Julius Malema a racist. You know why? Just because he's trying to talk to base mostly on the matters of the black people who are in South Africa, who are sitting on their land. But what they are forgetting is that what is happening in South Africa against the black people is something that is not supposed to be taken in that with a joke. Because imagine South Africans, the black people in South Africa, these are the people who are sitting in their land. These are the people who are on their countries. They are the people who has to control South Africa as their territory, but they are not having that authority to access to everything they can. They are not able to do something. We had sometimes that there is a place in South Africa which are highly restricted, that is only for the white people. Yet it's in Africa, yet it's in African land. So we as Africans at this time, we have to take example of Burkina Faso. We have to take example of Mali. We have to take example of Niger. Why? Because you know, after the coup d'etat that happened in Burkina Faso and Ibrahim Traore came to power, a lot happened. Even the Burkina Fasos never knew why this guy came to take over the government. They never knew his interest. But a few months, just few months after that process went successfully, that's when the citizens of Burkina Faso started to enjoy the fruits of Ibrahim Traore. That's why they started to enjoy, to realize what this guy and what was his interest. It's a very long time since Julius Malema started fighting for the interest of South Africans. South Africans don't like to see the other people from South Africa maybe talking the matters of South Africa, but we have to talk about this, because what Julius Malema today is trying to do in South Africa, it's not only for the South Africans, but for the entire continent of Africa. When Ibrahim Traore came to power and started to fight for the interests of Burkina Faso, he was not only focused for the interests of the Burkina Faso and people from outside Burkina Faso. People who are not Burkinabes, they started loving Ibrahim Traore. They started praising Ibrahim Traore because of what he was trying to do in his country. And they learned and they get the example. They wanted to follow example, to take that example to their countries. And that's why you are seeing that guy is getting a lot of support from different parts of the world, because he gave out example of a good leadership. And he's trying to advocate the people that we as Africans, you can do this without depending in some foreign powers. We can do this. We can develop our countries. We can sustain our countries. We can build our infrastructures. We can We can boost our economy just by what we have in our countries. We can depend and make our countries to be the best countries just by utilizing and using all we have in the name of resources, but not just depending in the loans, in those debts that we are getting from different countries for us to come and do investment in our countries. At the end of it, all the money that we are collecting in the name of taxes, we are all taking this money to pay debts, whereby we can no longer develop our countries, but our country will still remain there. So when this guy came to power, he was not only focused. So you've seen the visit of Ramaphosa to United States. This guy was just so humiliated in front of the cameras. He was so published in the world medias. So this was not a good picture. This was not a good picture for that incident to happen to a leader of a nation, of a certain nation, the commander-in-chief of a certain country. So, and that's why you see Julius Malema, he's saying that Ramaphosa was not able, he's not able to go and express himself there. He's not able to go and make statement concerning his grievances there, because he was only based and focused to do with the diplomatic issues, whereby the guy, the one who is dealing with the diplomatic issues is not even aware of it. He's after all his own interests and his own targets. I started by saying that during colonization and the people who fight for the freedom of our countries, they were so speak up. They were able to speak out, and they were not fearless. And we need people like Julius Malema. Julius Malema, through just speaking and being fearless, you are in a way of doing anything that comes on your way. Once you know very well that we are doing something that is beneficial for you and for the people that you are fighting for, then it can be of the better use. And
remember when Malema said this?
America can never be welcomed here in South Africa, in the African continent, because we know when they come here, they are coming to check what more can we steal and finish off this continent. We were so happy when the Russian foreign minister came. He was at home here. This is home. You should have looked at all the comments everywhere in the social media. Our people were so happy to have a Russian foreign minister here. We are happy that they saw it befitting to respect us and to come to us as a way of saying we respect you and we want to give you.
I just try to imagine that what if Julius Malema was the one who was invited in that meeting? What could have that dialogue look like? Because he said clearly that if this guy, Donald Trump, fears him, and that's why he was not able to invite him to that meeting, because if he could have been invited there, then he could have made all the facts clearly. He would have made his statement basing on the facts that Donald Trump was trying to make. And he could have been able to convince and recorrect all the statements and the accusation that Donald Trump was trying to make against the country of South Africa. So just like Julius Malema has said that they were just talking against him just because they fear him. If they could have not feared him, then they could invited him to that meeting so that they ask him that question one-on-one, and he could have answered them according to the question and based on the facts that everything that's happening in South Africa.
I will never be intimidated by America. I will never be intimidated by Donald Trump. They were speaking about me in that meeting at White House. If they were not gossiping about me, they should have called me into that meeting. I would have answered everything that Donald Trump wanted from us. If they are not scared of me, call me into that meeting, because I will confront him here and there with the facts. Ramaphosa could not present the facts in front of Donald Trump. You've got a coward president. He left here, Ariana, he won't be bullied. When he arrived there, he was shaking.
So all that happened that day, I have seen some people saying that all the evidences and the videos that Donald Trump was showing up was a pictures of Congo, but not South Africa. So those people who are being claimed of those videos that these people were killed in South Africa, those were just accusation. But when you do your best research, you find that these videos are not from South Africa, but are from Congo. So I don't know why Donald Trump can make that thing to do. So my point was, we as Africans, the Africans now, I think, is a place of whereby the foreign leaders and the foreign powers have started to fear. And they have started to install fear in themselves from according to the leadership that is coming out from Africa, according to the kind of the people that revolutionaries that are rising from Africa, and the way they're handling things, the way they are advocating Africans and try to install that revolutionaries in African minds. What is happening today in Africa, it is something different from what we have been used to. Because when African revolutionaries were trying to arise in those past years, he was being assassinated. And if you can remember the story of Lumumba of Congo, Lumumba was a great revolutionary leader in the face of Africa. What happened to him? Belgium was for Belgium to continue exploiting Congo and take everything, because for that time Congo was the best supplier of uranium in American countries, in French countries. But since Lumumba came to power and started to put some more restriction on how to sell out their resources to the foreign countries, he put his more policies and restrictions that bring attention to the countries to the foreign powers, and that's why Belgium decided to take this guy down, and they used his best friend Mobutu Sese Seko. Mobutu Sese Seko was the best friend to Lumumba. He was the best friend, but at the same time, this is the guy who came to kill Lumumba just for the interest of Belgium, and for the interest for the greedy of his own, just for the power. So, and from there, Mobutu Sese Seko became the most dictatorship leader in the face of Africa. And this is what is being tried to happen today, whereby we have seen many assassination attempts towards Ibrahim Traore, and the people who are being caught in these incidents or in these trials, they're Africans. There's no a day a white guy will come and kill African leader. They will always use the black people, the black guy, just the people of the same color, just like you, is the one who will come to use you. So we are fighting for this because we need a free state Africa. So that's why I say it is time sometimes we base on the facts. At this time, even if Julius Malema is not the president of South Africa, but it's time they put hands together, they join and work together with Ramaphosa for them to put aside this imperialist. Because you have seen yourself by yourself this example of this guy, as he was so humiliated in South Africa, in America. A lot about this. Just tell me to have the comment section. We have talked about this. You have tell me, you have bring out your views. Let people discuss about this, because we are doing this because we need the best Africa. We need the best Africa. We don't want to we no longer want to allow what happened to Africa to continue happening up to date, because Africa at this time, the people have grown up politically, the people have gained the knowledge, the Africans have known the history, and we are doing things based on the history, because history is what it can guide us to do and reach where we want to reach at this time. And when we do this, we have to focus on our dreams. When you remember Martin Luther King, he was assassinated. His dreams were not achieved because he was cut short. His life was cut short, and by this, that's when his dream were cut short. But when we are still alive and we have our revolutionary leaders who are fighting so hard to save Africa, we have to support them. We have to stand up and say that enough is enough, and everyone has to base on his interest and to stand by his country. This is Kenyan Explorer. Tell me what you have. Let's discuss about this. Subscribe to the channel for more updates and stay tuned.